jumpers while others was flipping yay. No Cartiers, couple of J's and reading comics. Couldn't label me a nerd with slam bitches in the closet. Awesome, left the city early, they forgot him. Now I come from two worlds, but the city know I got him. Went from smelling crack smoker that busted house to our neighbors. They're really seeing black folk, the only nigga turning in papers.
Cause it's a new era, no American apparel, no Lucifer in my levels. Eradicating these devils from out of my airspace. Take a hit.
One, two, 1, 2. You got to bear with it. It's been a while, so I got to figure out how this thing works again. How does this mic work? I don't have anything planned today, just saying hello. Random stream. I got to check my audio. I don't even know where my audio's at, so you're going to have to bear with me. What's up, Roger Wood? Christian! Just appreciate you. Haven't chatted in a while.
Yeah. It's always another victory, my nigga.
Put it down, put it down, put it down. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
Since a boy I had a fetish for the lettuce. Never threw the box.
Just randomly, I was thinking about how the 80s are underrated. I've been telling my wife this for forever. and I've been telling other people too, and I've been getting dissed on it. The 80s were dope, man. I like the music culturally. It was different. It was unique. I don't think we ever had any. You could say that about most decades. You look at the 2000s, seems like we've got a little plain, a little, it's not as creative, it's not as distinctive as you go through the 50s. I don't really, the 30s known for the Depression. I don't really think about the 40s that often. Then you see the 50s has their good music came out of the 50s, obviously. So 50s had its own, that's where I start, at least for my memory, like, okay, this decade had its own vibe. Then the 60s, of course, 70s. I was born in 77, so I don't obviously remember anything about the 70s, not even much about the 80s, but I do remember enough, especially the late 80s. And then going back and listening to the music and everything. I know it's just a random thought. It's a random live, y'all. The 80s were dope. And you know what started this is the one of my favorite guys to follow who really does a lot of great work with AI and stuff. I don't even know how to pronounce his name properly. It's like Brian Romelli. He is unbelievable. I've talked about him on this channel before. He is the best guy that I've personally seen out there on the topic of artificial intelligence. He does what I talk about doing, which is very, I talk about how we need decentralization. We need to train the algorithms to do what we want them to do. We don't want the algorithms trained on the MSNBCs or even alt media. We want to take your own database and people that you trust, the faith that you believe in. And he literally does that. Localized AI LLM solutions. And he just posted this random one, which I think Matt Walsh dissed, if I'm not mistaken, which I don't know why he dissed it, but there is a viral one going kind of viral on the 80s. But I was already on that trip, man, with the 80s, because it was even more, I think, more kind of visceral than the 90s. The 90s was nice, but it was a little bit packaged. I think the 80s, believe it or not, am I going to be dissing the 90s now? I believe the 80s were more authentic than the 90s. Of the generations that I can speak about, and I think the 80s is the first one, it is the most authentic culturally. We still had the same problems, but ignore the same higher level problems that we talk about all the time. I think culturally in America, the 80s was even more authentic. Not that the 90s weren't, but I think the 80s were even more just like, almost didn't even care, more than, less self-aware even. And didn't MTV kind of start out there at first, I believe late 80s, if I'm not mistaken, or in the 80s, MTV. Hip-hop was so authentic back in the 80s. I mean, that's literally, it's where it started from its ground roots. I'm a big hip-hop fan, if you don't know. So it started from its ground roots, late 70s, I think 79. I mean, it started from street, like house parties. So you didn't have the control from the labels and all that. They didn't know what this thing was going to be. So it just bubbled up and born out of the streets, young, and it was obviously young, black, urban men. And out of that, not even from a glorifying anything standpoint, from the standpoint of just telling a story from very intelligent, poetic, insightful, soulful artists in the Bronx, basically in New York. That, if you're a hip hop fan, that's the Mecca of hip hop. And if you listen to hip hop now, and even in the 90s, it started where it became very commercialized with, I like LL, but LL was really commercialized, DMC, even the Beastie Boys. I've been listening to a lot of Beastie Boys lately, though. Somebody posted a clip of the Beastie Boys on David Letterman. Remember when David Letterman used to do the kind of the intros, or the artists would start out on the streets doing it was so good. And then they would walk into the studio. Do you remember when he did that? I think it was Check It Out. Oh, that was so dope. But I mean, they were commercialized. But even before all that, that was way after. The 80s was where it kind of started. Metal, rock, alternative punk. I got to give the 80s some love, man. I don't give the 80s enough love. Even the Star Wars came out of there. You had the stand-up. Think about the stand-up we had in the 80s. I mean, maybe there's a lot of good stand-up now, and it's just so bifurcated, like on all these different platforms. I don't even watch stand-up like that. But Eddie Murphy, Bill Murray, did he do stand-up? But comedians back in the day, Robin Williams was just one of the best, obviously, ever. Ferris Bueller was in the 80s. The Breakfast Club. I know it's cliche, but I do love. It's so cliche now. I almost hate saying I love the Breakfast Club, but I just absolutely love that movie. I actually saw that in school. They played that one in school. It's the first time I saw it, like in middle school. CNN. Now, I didn't watch CNN until later on, but CNN had started in the 80s, I believe, and it was really good back then, believe it or not. Let's hear what Roger Wood says the 80s was the best, man. It's going to be old heads. It's going to be us old heads reminiscing, man. The 80s were the best. That's tough now, man. I hate to, because, the 90s, man. And then the 90s took some of what the 80s had and just took it to the peak level. Because, like, you talk about hip hop in the 80s, but then you look in the 90s, then you had Wu-Tang that took it. And to me, 36 Chambers is still ahead of where hip hop is now. It's still above. Souls of Mischief, 93 Until, is ahead of our time right now. Almost as if an alien or a time traveler came and made it. Souls of Mischief, it's ahead of where Souls of Mischief is now. I know they don't really do that anymore, but so it's hard. It's hard. It wasn't disco big in the 80s too, or was that late 70s? I think disco is underrated. To be honest with you, disco is fire. Christian says the 80s, we didn't know what we had until it was gone. I would go back to 12 and start all over. Yeah, I was 12 in the 80s. 89, I was 12. Yeah, it was good. Let me see if I can find that clip, man. It was real. Sabby Sabs commented on it. It's a very short clip. Hopefully this works. I don't really play clips much anymore because it's just kind of annoying. But just to show where this came from, it's such a great use of AI. From Brian Romelli. If you know how to pronounce his name, let me know. This is that dude right here. Such a big fan of this dude right here. But one of the more empowering people out there. And I should just do a whole breakdown of that dude, man. He's really good. And I respect people because I've been crashing out on a lot of taboo topics, and it doesn't even bother him. I don't know where he stands on some of these taboo topics, but so this is the 80s AI created video.
You know the 80s miss you, right?
Let me guess. No one even talks face to face anymore.
Here? We're out until the streetlights come on. You should stay. The world feels real here. We've got mixtapes, Friday night diners, cruising down Burnside in your friend's Camaro. What's 2025 got?
Yo, what are you even doing in 2025? Out there, it looks like everyone's glued to their phones, chasing nothing. No block parties, no Friday night hangout.
Do you even remember what it's like to really be here? Out here, time doesn't race, it breathes. And if you've forgotten that, then maybe that's why the 80s are calling you back.
Yo, you coming or what?
You don't get it. The 80s wasn't just about neon lights or mixtapes. It was about being here, actually being with people. No screens in your face, no noise from the future. Just the moment. The 80s miss you. We all do. Maybe it's time you came back.
You know the 80s miss you, right?
Let me guess. No one even talks face to face anymore.
Yo, I feel vindicated, man. It feels good. Voice of Steven, the homie. Thanks for stopping by. Unexpected. I mean, this is an unexpected live. We have royalty in the chat. Voice of Steven says, "What's up, dog?" Disco go so hard. So now I feel better because sometimes you're behind the mic and you're like, oh, I think disco goes hard. And then you're like, oh, does that sound right? Is that going to sound right the next day? So at least I got some backup from somebody who knows music too. So that means something. Sub up, of course, to Voice of Steven. Just killing the game, man. He's been streaming daily. Strong biblical stuff, man. Obviously, friend of the show. Highly respect. Steven, appreciate you. He says, sounds gay, is straight. Many things are like this. Yep. I don't want to make it sound like I'm defending myself or justifying. So that's why I tried not to say it. But I'm like, yeah, that sounded a little gay, but I'm gonna keep it moving. but yeah, I like disco, man. It's what's wrong. And Voice of Steven's been dancing and stuff, man. It's a good workout. He actually inspired me. I've been eating better. My workout routine has really been suffering because I've been working out at night, like at 10 p.m., and then I'm just too tired, man. Sometimes it's just terrible time to work out. But my whole life, I've actually worked out at night often, which is weird. You know what's gay and is truly gay? Maybe this isn't. RFKJ, Voice of Steven, if you're still in the chat. This is just a completely random stream, so we're all over the place. Why does RFKJ work out in jeans? Can somebody help me understand that? Every time I see this dude in the gym or working out outside or somewhere like that, which is, it's great to work out and all for it. So I'm not really dissing him on that. I just don't understand why he's in jeans. It makes me uncomfortable to watch him in jeans. I can't remember the last time I saw a guy work out in jeans. My dad back in the day, we would play tennis. So I learned tennis on wooden rackets, and my dad he'd be playing tennis with khakis and like a button-up short sleeve shirt. Like, Dad, put on some shorts. I don't know, some athletic gear. Voice of Steven said he felt the video too. Yeah, I want the real world. I have been taking times of taking my phone when I'm at the crib, putting it on the charger, and just letting it stay there and just trying to, it's very addictive, obviously. Saw a video of the school that made their students lock up their phones 100% for it, 100% for it. We didn't need the phones. And I'm believe it or not, transhumanist. I am pro-transhumanism. I know that's a point of disagreement with me and Steven there a little bit at least, but I fully agree that here's my take on it, and I almost feel like this about coffee even, because I drink coffee every day now. And sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to do it today, just to show myself I have control, but then I do it the next day. But I was drinking a lot of coffee at night, and I stopped that. And it's the same thing with the phone and the digital stuff. I think we do have to show that we are in control of it. Otherwise, then we're not. So I do put that down sometimes. What's on everybody's mind today? No legs day. Yeah, he's not doing a lot of legs that I've seen. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care about RFK doing his legs and stuff, but he's at the gym in jeans with his shirt off. Like, I'm like, what is happening here? Like, is this your based right wing? That's not based. That's not based. I mean, I'm not against it, but that's definitely not based. I said that proved Nick right. He had the joke. He was joking when he said going to the gym is gay. But then right after that, RFK, that was a while back, RFK went to the gym. He was working out with some other dude. I think they were both with their shirts off. I don't know if they both had jeans on. I was like, well, yeah, it is somewhat gay. Unless you're in the room by yourself. But even then, if you're like looking in the mirror, flexing that, yeah, that's semi-gay. I like pizza. Hey, Middle MAGA. Who's Middle MAGA? What happened to that nigga? I don't know. That MAGA movement done fucked up though, huh? What's happened to the MAGA movement? The MAGA movement's in a weird place. I don't know what happened to Middle MAGA, man. That dude probably fell off the map. Rob says, I want my real world back. Steven says, RFK is so scared of ruining his jeans that he wears his everywhere. Yeah. He just wants to be a part of the jeans war. My take on Sydney Sweeney and the jeans thing, to change topics, is a little different. I would say, not entirely different, but just from a looks standpoint, the body's unquestionable, but I do question the face of Sydney Sweeney. And I some other people have done that, and the classic thing is, well, what do you look like? Okay, great. I look like a whatever. I look like whatever you want to say I look like, but that doesn't change it. But I do like the ad though. The ad is really good. It's a throwback ad. You talk about how I like the 80s. When I know Brooke Shields, I think, was 15 when she did her Calvin Klein jeans ad. I don't know if you saw that, but it was very similar to the Sydney Sweeney ad. But I was looking that up and I was like, was she 15? But the 80s was good. The 80s were good. But it was wild. It was wild. I mean, even if you look at like the 80s Mets, man, they were doing. Could you imagine a team in baseball doing what the 80s Mets was doing back then? Lines of snow in the clubhouse, allegedly, and all kinds of craziness. But I mean, maybe they're doing that now. I don't know. But that was wild. But I think the jeans ad was a good ad. I mean, it's a good ad, and it triggered all the right people to get triggered by it. So I fully support it. I'm just not into the tatas as much as everybody else. So, not that she's ugly, of course. It's more base than being fat, absolutely, without question. yeah. You know what? Nowadays, it's like you can't, man. We got to get it. We got to get right. We got to get right, and that's for anybody that's not right. We have to get right. You've seen Jeff Bezos get right. Everybody's getting right. I don't know what happened to Elon. He was going to get right, and he fell off the map, posting AI prawn and everything. But a lot of people are getting right. I think that's the era we're in, which is good. I'm trying not to get wrong. I mean, for me, it's more like trying not to fall off the map. He said, what Steven said, middle MAGA? That nigga's dead. I don't know. Rest in peace. Voice of Steven. Sydney Sweeney can't brag about jeans with the eyes being that far apart. I got to read his messages first because I laugh in the middle of them. Sydney Sweeney can't brag about jeans with the eyes being that far apart. Yep. It's crazy, though, how people get triggered so much. We're just so insecure about where we're at. I thought black was beautiful to the blacks out there, which I agree with. I thought black was beautiful. So who cares about a Sydney Sweeney ad? Black, you know what I mean? It's insecurity. I thought Gap did a kind of a reply ad and they had all kinds of, it was so stupid. They should have done a simple ad and in retort, and not even to retort it, but just to give a different perspective. They had all these people dancing and stuff, and I was like, this is just too much. I Like Pizza says, Voice of Steven, we love you. We are not hateful. Roger Wood, she's a little, but I agree completely. She's not fully butterface. She's a little butter. Oh, of course she's solid. But here's my thing. I'm a contrarian too. I hate when I'm force-fed somebody. I bet you she would look better to me if she wasn't force-fed to me. Christian said she's different looking. Don't be diplomatic. She's different looking. But no, she's different looking. That's true. But she doesn't make me flinch. Oh, no, I agree completely. I'm not going to go crazy now. Here's the thing about the age we're in. We just see so many. We see AI images. You go on X. You can't go on X you can't avoid a thirst trap on X. It's impossible. And any app, Reels or anything else. And I feel like it is customized to what you prefer. So there's no void. It's not like the 80s where in the 80s, it was either a magazine or TV. So you didn't see as much of the different types of women that you might be into. So you put a Sydney Sweeney in front of me. I'm like, okay, I see women that I believe are hotter all the time. Yeah, the Beyonce one wasn't bad, but that was funny though because when is she rocking the blonde hair? So what is the point that she's trying to make? Her skin looks like Sammy Sosa after. It looks like she's 20 shades lighter than she used to be. I don't know if that's makeup or lighting or just me, but her skin looks like a tan white and she has blonde hair. So is it are you trying to reenact the Sydney Sweeney? What? So I didn't mind it. And she's older too. So I'm like, what do you need? You're older, you're worth $1 billion. Do you really need to? It's just weird. Why would a older, I don't know how old she is, 40 something? Why would an older woman billionaire need to do that? You're above us. You're a boss. Aren't you above Sydney Sweeney? Maybe you're not a boss. I don't know. So it's not like I didn't like the ad. Beyonce is obviously very attractive, especially for her age, and she hasn't done a lot of the weird stuff we're seeing with like Miley Cyrus and others, and she looks a little bit more natural to me, at least like the body. She's a little bit big. She's not like super, super skinny and she's not fat. But I don't know what the statement is when these women, Lizzo's supposed to be all this pro-black and all this, so then she loses weight and gets a blonde weave. What are we doing? Which I have no problem with, but at the same time, it doesn't match with this blackity black stuff to me. Maybe that's just in my head. Mike has bad knees, long time no chat, of course, says the problem with Sydney is that you can see 1,000 of them if you go to any upper class mall in America. That is absolutely true. Maybe the tatas aren't as big. Maybe it's not exactly the same package. I think her ass is underrated, but yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's not really that unique. Roger Wood says the 80s was still coming out of lengthy generations of people who were commonly married by 18. The social concepts of consent were just different. Don't put too much on it. Okay. That's good perspective. Yeah. Yep. The 80s were born out of obviously the previous 20 years ago. So for the 80s, you have to go back to the 60s. Absolutely. So that's interesting thinking about the 2000s. How did that come out of the 80s? I think there's outside forces that changed the course of American culture, in my opinion. I don't think we naturally got to where we are now in 2025 without external forces guiding the culture where it was. And maybe that was happening back then and I just don't know, but I like Pizza says Sweeney is goy slop. Sydney proud white while H-1B visas is passing. Yep. I like how the H-1B visa debate hasn't gone away for the core kind of right. And that bubbled up in December. They're not letting Vivek forget about that and sweep it under the rug. That's why they're annoyed. They're annoyed by that faction of the right where they want to label it whatever because they can't control it. And that faction of the right is not tied into the MAGA. They're not tied into the GOP. They're not tied into the MAGA. They're not tied into the Democrats. In Voice of Stephen asked me, it was a while ago, what I thought about Gavin Newsom. And it's funny that the Gavin Newsom memes and stuff kind of started coming up, led by the Groypers. And I don't think people understood. And I appreciate, I was on with Peter Hager from Generational Change, Revolutionary Change. And what I was going to say there is I respect, he brought me on to give a perspective on the America First right because he knows that I've followed it for years now. I mean, it's been, since AFPAC 3, since I've been following it closely. And I would say over the last, I don't know when I fully said, like, I fully support, it's been over a year. But I've been listening to Nick a lot, who leads that side. And people don't understand what it is. And I wish more people would reach out and ask people like Voice of Steven. And I think I have a good grasp on it too. And others who do, like, what is this about? So if you don't know, the Groypers are people who follow, just people who are fans of Nick Fuentes, basically. And they've been bigging up Gavin Newsom. And I'm not going to speak for them. What I get from that is it's a troll, guys. It's a troll. You remember when we used to have fun? Like we used to just joke about stuff? Like I know it's been a long time. It's been at least since before 2020. Remember in 2016, remember in 2018, remember in 2020 before the pandemic when we used to just have fun? Like just online even. Remember when YouTube allowed people to have more fun? That's what that's about. And people don't understand that movement is not tied into MAGA. That movement is not tied into the GOP. That movement is not tied into a Republican. That movement is not tied into a Democrat. And the making fun of fat face JD Vance is not about supporting Gavin Newsom's policies. It's really more to make a joke because there has to be a truth behind every meme and every joke. And what it exposes is people who claim to be pro-white, Tucker Carlson and many others, who claim to be pro-white. And if you're new here, that doesn't mean anti-black necessarily. Doesn't mean even anti-Jew or anything like that. Just if you have a pro-white stance, how do you support someone who is anti-white? And that's JD Vance. He's factually, through his, and that's not me, that's through his own words, is anti-white. Through his own words and actions. So that's where, and that's why it really rubs a nerve, because there's a truth there that the JD Vance, the Peter Thiel influenced people, they can't touch. And it's just absolute brilliance. They're fighting the 2028 battle before JD Vance is ready to fight the 2028 battle. They don't even know how to combat it. It's pure brilliance. And Nick has an army of people. These aren't bots, guys. This is a force. This is an authentic, real people force that you can chat with, that are many of them Catholic, Christian, non-Zionist. In a way, many of them are apolitical. They learn a lot of the politics from Nick and others, but they're more kind of just learning about the world. Very young, many of them. And they don't give a damn about a Democrat. They don't care about socialism or communism. You guys don't even know how to reach them. Gavin Newsom actually is doing the best right now. I don't know who's running his account, but Gavin Newsom he's retweeted Groypers, and I guarantee you his account has his whatever that Gavin Newsom account is called, the Gavin Newsom cabinet or whatever it's called, the governor's official Twitter. I guarantee you when they retweeted the Groyper, whoever's doing that on his account knew it was a Groyper. Didn't care. Who cares? Nobody cares like that anymore. And social media has a value. Otherwise, Israel wouldn't be, hiring people to censor it if it didn't have a value. And he's trying to be based on there, is what Gavin Newsom is trying to present, at least. And riding off of the Groypers. I fully support the discussion. If you don't know what that's about, there's many tweets and stuff like that on it. Here's a random one. Let's look at this here. This is just random tweet. This is not from a Groyper, but it's just random tweets posting JD Vance. This is a real picture of JD Vance, I think, in high school, and Gavin Newsom in high school. Why is JD Vance so in his feelings about it? I haven't heard him comment on this, but everybody who supports JD Vance is in their feelings about this. Why? If this wasn't a big deal, why would you even reply to it? That would have been the smart reply. The Groypers are getting ahead of the curve. And I think JD Vance isn't even leading this. And Peter Thiel and them, I don't know who's going to combat this. And I bet you right now, JD Vance, if he hasn't already, I don't think he has any type of communications. And I haven't even seen where the Dilly Meme team is on this, because I don't know if a lot of them blocked me or whatever the case is. I still support them. I have no beef with them, but they would be the team to try and combat this. And I don't know how they would. I don't know how. They already tried to lean into the fat face JD Vance memes by just making fun of it and kind of riding the wave of it, which was really smart. But this is different. This is a different thing. So what I've seen is they try to go after Gavin Newsom. It's not about policy. This is not about policy. So you can't stop this meme by like saying Gavin Newsom allowed the Jeets to unlive people with 18-wheelers. Because the people doing these memes don't support that. That's not what the point is. So I'm not going to give them free advice. I'm not going to, even if they paid me, I wouldn't give them advice. But this is a very good chess move. And it's going to be very hard to combat a group of people that are very talented online, very creative, and have a leader. That's going to be very tough to authentic. You can't buy this. You can't fake this. And I love Dilly Meme team, but some of their content now is, to me, forced. They're not organic where they could go against Trump. If Nick makes a wrong move, I'm sorry, the Groypers would go against Nick. Nick's just based. He's just authentic. And the Dilly Meme team can't do that. So I remember a while back they kind of were promoting the idea of building up Gaza on the literally off of the dirt and bones and remains of dead Palestinians. And I was like, what happened to you guys? What is this? This isn't based. Even if you support Trump, this isn't. So they can't, I don't even think they can combat it. Right now, it's the Groypers world. We're just living in it. It's just brilliant. I fully support the memes there on this. And a lot of people, not a lot, but people who do know my background is my parents are Jamaican. They did come here legally. So actually, it wasn't hard back then. I mean, you just paid the money and applied and did your thing. But and that was before the 80s, well before that. My parents were born in Jamaica. I was born here in Ohio. And then my wife is white. So there are people who know that and are kind of like, well, why would you support that? And they've been going hard at the interracial stuff. It's pretty funny. Like, number one, don't take yourself that seriously. I mean, they're literally not attacking me. I've never, even with disagreement, the Groypers have never attacked me, which it could happen at some point, which is perfectly fine. But it's really about preference. It's really about acknowledging how this country started. And if they have a preference of, hey, I'd like to keep things pure. The guy on the left in this picture, I don't know the background of them all. I believe he has European ancestry. His wife, I don't know where her background is, but the Gavin Newsom family is a picture at the very least of like white. And it's like nowadays just posting the picture of Gavin Newsom's family, which is, let's just say, pure right. I haven't looked that up, but I think it is, whatever that means. Just posting that is an act of rebellion. That's what it is. And JD Vance would agree right now, not 2016, right now, JD Vance would agree. When he was running with Trump, remember he called out Nick Fuentes, basically not by name, scared to say his name, of course, but saying basically white nationalists or supremacists, I disavow, basically. When all it is a preference, what's wrong with the preference? So I love having those conversations. It's not any type of hate, even if it is hate. I talked with Peter, And Peter was a little bit off, and I didn't want to, we'll talk offline and chat and text about it because that's the homie. So I'm not going on his live to debate him. I have nothing but much love for Jen and Peter, but he took it to the place where he was intimating that the Groypers, and he didn't mean any disrespect. I mean, this is what his true concerns are, that they would take it to a place of violence or something like that. So then I had to step in and say, whoa, this is a group of Christians. This is non-violence. I would never even support, be an ally of any group. That's when you get into Fed territory, when somebody's talking about violence. Absolutely not. There is no violence here. When you have to pepper spray a Jew on your porch, that's self-defense. Let's just make that clear. So that was a self-defense move, but there's obviously no violence there. It's very sophisticated. It's a movement of wanting excellence for all groups. So there's a lot there that people don't understand with that. Nick Cruz, Nick Cruz is the guy behind the Revolutionary Blackout Network. The dude is just unbelievable. He had a conversation with Nick Shields. He's on the left. But he had a post even that was like, damn, I don't know him. I haven't, other than like exchanges on Twitter. I was like, man, I wish I could kind of talk with him about it. We know we're going to have friction because we look at race differently. But he didn't understand the Gavin Newsom meme. This was from a while back. And I was like, oh, shoot, he didn't understand it. So I just I think I replied under it to not have beef or anything, but just to give a perspective. But he's great. This is the account here. Revolutionary Blackout Network is YouTube. Revolutionary Blackout Network. They used to be the Fred Hampton leftists back in the day. Let's look at the comments here. Voices Steven says, there isn't a cutoff age, just an age when you start to be treated as a boomer. You and I qualify. I'm too old. I seen them even call Nick Unk. Have you seen that? I see some of the Groyper. I'm like, damn, that Nick's 27, man. He's in his prime right now, man. Nick is entering, and that makes a lot of sense. When you're 26, they say the male brain does not fully develop until you're 26. And Nick is on a generational run. If you haven't seen that, Voices Steven has a great live on that, breaking that down better than anybody. But it's not surprising. He's in the prime. The next 15 years, he's going to be in his mental prime. I mean, I don't think he's reached the prime. He's started the prime arc right now, believe it or not. So that's why they're really scared. They know he's hitting the prime because the movement has matured as he's matured. If you go back to his archive, and I do subscribe to the America First Plus, if you go back through his archives to like the old stuff, it's still great content, but you see how it's still great content now. It hasn't changed the edge or anything like that, but it's much more sophisticated and mature. But I'm fine. I'm fine with being a boomer. I have my place where I can provide thoughts or whatever for what it's worth, and the youth has their place. I have 2 young kids and helping them along. So we all have our role in this. Mike Has Bad Knees says, I've never cared at all about race. All I care about is Christian or non-Christian. And if you're not Christian, will you at least leave Christians alone? Everything else is trivial. I agree with much of that. But what do you think, Mike Has Bad Knees, if you're still in the live, about my take that the different races and ethnicity, if that's even the right term, isn't that God's design? Isn't that God's design? It's almost like, well, this ethnic group, now we're all mixing together now. I mean, my kids are part Polish, English, German, Jamaican, American. But isn't the beauty of the racial part of it that, first of all, it's part of God's design to acknowledge the differences? Let's not even talk about how important it is or not. That obviously there's differences. Obviously, Lizzo does not look like Sydney Sweeney. I mean, I mean, just flat. You can visibly see the differences. I always look at that part when Nick was in that interview with the crash out where Candace Owens crashed out, where he's like Aiden Ross, and she brought up Aiden Ross, and she was like, I didn't know he was Jewish, and Nick was like, he's visibly Jewish. There's no way you didn't know. But isn't that the part of the beauty of life? I was talking with my wife earlier today, and we were talking about the whole cruise ship thing debate where there's like, they're trying to tweak rules and they're not saying it, but it's to try to basically keep blacks in line. And I told my wife, there's nobody who publicly believes that they would want to go on a cruise ship where there's 1,000 people on the ship and 750 of them are black. There's just no one. Maybe young people who don't care or give a damn. There's no one over the age of 26 that would sign up to go on a cruise with where 750 of them are black. And it's not all bad, but you know, the generally speaking, in tune with music, better dancing. Maybe you might have more fun, more soul, but you're going to have more likelihood of other things too, downside with that. Now, we also said if all the blacks were over 50, oh, it'd be cool. I'd have no problem with it. Maybe even 40. Once you get to a certain age, it's not, you don't act a fool like you do when you're younger. So it's not like segment it down to the typical, that would be going on those under 40 potentially or 50. But there's good things and bad things. For about every single white, Jew, Asian, whatever. And isn't that, what does it mean, God's plan? I don't know. I don't know if I'm biblically sound enough to even articulate that, but that's how I view it. And that's why I was so pissed at Candace Owens. I don't know why Candace Owens, Officer Tatum, just destroying in different ways, but destroying their credibility. Acting like there's no differences between races. What kind of completely nonsensical position is that? And she's supposed to be a Catholic. But am I off base there? See, Voice of Stephen can talk about it. He knows the Bible. I mean, he knows the Bible in and out pretty much. But he says the Bible cares about race. Oh, damn. So Voice of Stephen always has bars. He says race is literally the opposite of trivial. And I used to have that take. Where, not that it was trivial, but more I ignore race. That's not based. I don't ignore race. And I don't view it as, I do view like a certain race is typically better at something than others. I mean, obviously Asians are typically shorter than other ethnic groups, like stuff like that. But yeah, it's well said. W Unk Middle Matter. What? Who is y'all keep talking about this Middle MAGA? No, I'm just playing. I appreciate you, man. Let them destroy their reputation. King Randall is just one that I just think so highly of this, bruh. This is something that my brother did when he was teaching, when he first started teaching in Cleveland. He would take some of his kids out to eat, and he was teaching urban kids. And it was very important, very passionate about it. You know, when you're young and you start teaching, until you see the politics and everything, and it turns you jaded potentially, not all the way, but you see how it's very hard to make an impact. This is a video that was posted by King Randall, who I consider 2 years ago, I did like my own, it was Middle MAGA at the time, but People of the Year. King Randall was one of my People of the Year.
Lower your hand, put the handle of the fork in your palm, the handle of the fork in your palm, good, and we're cutting. And pivot. Good job. Take your time, chew with your mouth closed, please, remember. Close the lip and cut. Okay, great job. Now, because you have salad dressing all over your lips, what's your pause position in European style? Upside down V. Fork overlapping the knife. Good. Now you take your napkin, place it on your index finger, and dab.
Tastes good, don't it?
Good job. Now place it back on your lap. I'm so proud of you.
I'm getting old, man. It's if I would almost shed a tear over that video, man. To be honest with you, that's how deep that video is. It's a video of two young black boys. Basically, this is my understanding of what finishing school was. I never went to finishing school. I'm not as polished as this is here. This is Stephen and I talked about this. It's not about anti-black. It's about excellence for all groups. And to me, this is in the American vision. If you are born in literally a hut in Africa, you don't need to learn this. And that doesn't mean you're bad or anything like that. But I'm American. This is what assimilation is. So there's many blacks who have not assimilated. Forget about the Jeets. I completely understand that. And we understand the Jews are, not only do they not want to assimilate, they want to infiltrate. Forget about that. The blacks who have been here historically, they refuse to assimilate. And there's nothing wrong with assimilation. But this is, Europeans brought this to America. Europeans are the ones that brought this to America. That brought the idea of silverware to the world. Forks, knives, spoons. Is this supposed to be a bad thing? You can't be serious. You can't seriously think this is a bad thing. Why? So he talks about it, and he posted some context here, and I fully believe him. King Randall says, every time I post our boys in etiquette class, folks say, why y'all teaching them to eat like white people? And he says, neatness ain't white. If you call it that, you're saying being loud, dirty, and sloppy is black. We're teaching excellence, discipline, and self-respect. I think that's my wife coming down, so that's my clue to stop. But I'm gonna end the live in a second. But that's a deep comment there, and he does it respectfully without talking down to any black people or anything like that. He says it indirectly. There's nothing wrong with this, and in fact, I think we should be grateful. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I think other races could say they're grateful for whatever you can talk about that blacks have brought to the world. And there are things. But my point is, it's okay. It's okay to acknowledge that this is factually, not opinion, factually European in nature, factually, culturally American at its core. I mean, this is high level here. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with reading. There's nothing wrong with eating properly. It's nothing wrong with using utensils. And it's really, it creates a unique American culture that's founded by Europeans, but it is something different now. So King Randall's one of there's many people doing, like I said, my brother was doing this with no fanfare, no social media. Not to this is very high level. I don't even know how to do I never even learned the knife and the fork thing, which is kind of cool. I might look at that, but King Randall is out there in the ether, and I think there's value to that. Instead of just seeing Sexy Red or whatever, all this other stuff, it's not all bad. Mike Has Bad Knee says, I beat every white kid in my grade school spelling bee, lost to an Asian and a Patel. It's funny the things you never forget, but I believe that. Voice of Steven says, white brought standards to the world. It is what it is. And not only that, I'm grateful for that. We can take that, learn from it, embrace it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not dissing if you probably could trace my ancestors back to Africa where they ate with their hands. That's what it was. I'm not dissing my ancestors going back generation. I don't know why that's hard to do at the same time for people. Steven said I'm spelling like a black guy, my bad. Friend of the show, Ray Studio, said Steven's more black than I am. Go ice your needs, pick up a Bible while you do it. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely do need to get back and study more. But all right, that was just a random live. I just wanted to say what's up to everybody. Gonna check in on speaking of the wife, checking on the wife and kids, and hopefully everybody has a great day. I will holler at you. Peace.